Welcome back to another episode of Your Daily Real Estate. This is Tristan. Hope you're having an awesome day. This episode is brought to you by my book, Pick It Up Real Estate Prospecting, on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. Now, let's talk about communication with your sellers. This is almost like, it's definitely a reminder, but it's also something that we have to do. You're eventually going to get a listing. And if you're in this business for a while now, it means you've had multiple listings, and you've also talked to sellers that hate when there's no communication. In fact, when we're calling expireds, I'll give an example. Yesterday, I meet an expired listing seller from calling, and we met, and the very first thing they tell me is, once we sit down and get going, it's like the last agent we had the worst communication. And so they brought up, said, how do you communicate? How often? What should we expect? They were burned pretty badly. And so now, and this is why I'm talking to you, but now you think, okay, well, how can I be more proactive to be able to reach out to sellers when homes stay on the market a little bit longer? Obviously, hopefully price your home well. That's the ideal situation. It's not as easy, right? So I would say these are the things that you need to keep in mind. In fact, write these down if you can, type them up, or keep this saved, because these are the things, ideas, reasons for you to reach out to your sellers. And I have these written out for you. So here we go. Number one, market updates. Keep them informed about how the housing market is behaving. Don't assume that they know. Make sure you're reaching out to them either by phone call, text, email, and I love to do 2 reach outs a week. One is by email, and one is a simple text or a phone call, depending on how they like it. It's usually on Mondays, and then it's usually on Thursdays. Pretty easy, right? You choose which one you want. Well, market updates. Number one, easy. Here's what's sold in your area. Here's what popped up. Here's something close. It's not maybe necessarily close to you geographically, but it's close to your price point, so you can see, right? Next, interest rates, how they changed, how are they affecting our area? And in our area, Los Angeles, Ventura County, interest rates matter a lot because we have higher price points. So interest rates, what are the fluctuations? Why does it matter? Continuously, right? And new competition, notify them about any competing properties. Obviously, if something popped up that's competing against them, that could be detrimental to us or help us. Explain to me why it's important. Next one, which is number 4, showing feedback. Don't just share the feedback, show it. If you got an email, if you got some type of a text, notify them, share the comments. And look, we don't always get feedback when we request it from people who show it, but if we call or text, and then we can at least bring that back and have that conversation with the sellers, it keeps that line of communication open and honest. Because now when you go back to them and say, if you're going to say, we need to drop the price, here's what's happening, here's what's being talked about for your home specifically, or even the area, you have some track record of talking back and saying, hey, remember that time that we talked about that, right? Next, recent sales. Inform them about similar properties that have sold recently in the area. That's easy. Selling strategy. Discuss any plans for additional selling efforts or adjustments to their marketing strategy. And things change pretty quick. So if you're paying attention to any local news, anything that's happening, or a change in, maybe it's becoming more of a buyer's market or a seller's market, or there's a strategy you heard about, you know that you can implement it, bring it up, outline it, send it over, talk to them. And lastly, just process these reminders. Provide reminders to them as needed about steps in the timeline that involve the selling process. And say, hey, remember how I talked to you and I said, if we hadn't gotten where we wanted to get to in 3 weeks, we'd talk. Great. Hey, look, this is what's been happening 2 months later, right? This is what we need to do now. 3 months into it, hey, look, we're now doing new strategies. Remember I said if it didn't sell 3 months in, these are the things that we were going to redo, maybe redo the pictures or now do brand new Facebook, Instagram marketing strategy, maybe change up the postcards, whatever it is, remind them about the process that you originally talked to them about so that they can go back and say, got it, I remember it was part of it. And more importantly, you keep that communication going. We'll talk again.